I want to get you all caught up on the situation in Ukraine. It is very much a situation of good news and bad news, although by no means balanced. Belarus has hosted the first face-to-face talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials since the invasion began, and the UN General Assembly is meeting to discuss the invasion of Ukraine. Obviously, the UN Security Council was unable to do anything about this. I don't know why the General Assembly would be more capable, but perhaps, and some sort of negotiations are ongoing. So that is a good thing. There is, however, also some bad news, including that over the weekend, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered the defense minister and the chief of the military to put his nuclear deterrent forces in a quote, special regime of combat duty, which basically means they're at least implying they're more prepared to deploy nuclear weapons. So that's exciting. Related news, Belarus has also voted on constitutional reforms that would allow Russian nukes to be placed in their country. Can only imagine the amount of pressure that was put on them for that sort of thing. The US in response also closed its embassy in Belarus. We'll see how long that lasts for. And then you have weird news like the fact that according to the Times of London, hundreds of Russian mercenaries were deployed into Ukraine specifically to hunt down President Zelensky. They're part of the Wagner group of militaries, a private army owned by one of the oligarchs. I know that does seem bizarre. Remember, we have Eric Prince and stuff like that. So it's a thing, it's terrible. And there's a lot more that we'll get into, Francesca, but a little bit of hope perhaps that diplomacy can still work, especially because, as we'll get into, the economic ramifications for Russia have been significant. But what are your thoughts about the current state as we launch into the second week?
Yeah, quick correction. You did say Iraq right off the top, a little Freudian fun slip. Yeah, it was.
Apologies.
No, it's all good. I know you meant Ukraine, of course.
Sorry, I'm effectively Biden at this point. Anyway, yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, who's to say, right? I think even experts on Ukraine and Russia have been wrong on this. Even people in the inner circle of Putin have been wrong on this. They didn't think he was going to attack with such ferocity, wasn't necessarily going to go for the capital of Kyiv. But the guy's lost. He's gone. He is fully nuts. I don't think he is a honest actor or partner. So we will see what happens with these diplomatic talks. My fear is that they are somehow a trap, a la, it's a trap guy, squid, calamar, sergeant, whatever. The point is.
Thank you for attempting to be part of my world, but continue.
He's got a fun Sergeant Calamari name. Everyone's gonna correct me, but yeah.
It's Admiral Akbar. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think this is not funny.
We're starting off the week on our best.
This is very serious. It's messed up. It is upsetting. We need to laugh whenever we can because this is so volatile. Last thing I'll say is it is concerning that Russia would even say something about nukes at all because
of course
Ukraine doesn't have nukes. In fact, Ukraine forced to give up nukes in 1994 under the Budapest Agreement that basically said, Russia, hey, don't invade us and we will give up our nukes. That was all good. All above board. Then that was violated in 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea, effectively took it over. So here we are in this moment, and I'm someone who believes in intense and not unilateral, universal nuclear non-proliferation. In fact, a ramping down, a destruction, a no more nukes for anybody world. But here you have this double standard of Ukraine giving up nukes, and now Russia invades, and Ukraine can't even pull out the apocalypse card. Not that any country should, but here we have Putin saying, "Oh, I'm pulling out the apocalypse card. I said nukes. I said anti-nukes, but I'm the one that has them." He knows no other country is going to strike first.
No, definitely not. But every couple days, there's another implication, a threat of that. So yeah, needlessly again ramping up the already record high tensions. I do want to give you a little bit more information about the negotiations we talked about earlier. First of all, they took place basically at the same time that Ukrainian officials are accusing Russian forces of launching a barrage of rockets on a residential neighborhood in Kharkiv, killing dozens of civilians. So So yet more pressure to bring this to as quick a close as possible because they do appear to be targeting civilians. So Putin and Macron apparently spoke for an hour and a half earlier today. Putin is saying a deal is only possible if Russia's legitimate security interests are unconditionally taken into account. That sounds vague, but it includes things like recognition of Russian sovereignty over Crimea. Again, seems it's fairly unrelated, but they're going to try to get out of it what they can. Demilitarization and denazification of the Ukrainian state is a continuation of their insane, ridiculous propagandistic claims. The presence of radicals inside of a country does not mean that the entire regime is composed of those radicals. And by the way, for the people who have, in the American context, gleefully picked this up and are spreading that Russian talking point, do they get that that's the exact same pretext for invasions that the US has used in the Middle East for the last 2 decades? Oh, you've got some radicals, we get to invade now. Do they not get that that's what they're doing? Anyway, also ensuring its neutral status. So what they're effectively calling for is not only not allowing Ukraine into NATO, possibly significantly curtailing or removing their military, and also clearly not allowing the ongoing regime of Vladimir Zelensky. So that means probably, in effect, putting in some sort of puppet regime. We'll see. If it saves tons of lives, they might be willing to make that deal. But that is the current state of the negotiations, apparently, that are ongoing throughout this morning.
I mean, I don't see Ukraine going for a regime change, like a willing regime change. But again, we shall see. It depends how bad this continues to get. But one interesting point is around the NATO membership for Ukraine, which I know some war hawks will say it is even more necessary now than ever to have Ukraine into NATO, but Ukraine was never going to be part of NATO, and NATO knew this, and this was essentially a tacit understanding between NATO partners that Ukraine wasn't going to be part of them. And they've never actually articulated that openly and said that publicly, either to the world and especially to Russia or to Russia in front of the world, that yeah, no, NATO, Ukraine's not gonna be part of NATO. So I mean, it is, for me with all of this stuff, it is very difficult as someone who does not believe that war is the answer, does not believe that continuing to build up troops and weapons and missiles and spending $700 billion of US money every single year on those bases and wars and buildups. I don't believe in any of that, but what's the way out, right? And I actually don't think that more war is the way out of this. We do have to think and really somehow stick to not our guns, but our peace doves about like real diplomacy. And the fact is the United States has had a hand in undermining so much of that diplomacy over the last 30 years, as has Russia. So no actor is truly coming to this in good faith, but definitely not Putin. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we got to center the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people, they're suffering, what they're calling for, what they're asking for. And interestingly, there's been some good writing and some calls from the Ukrainian people to the American left and to the Western, so-called Western left, about truly understanding just how grave this is, even if we don't believe in, US imperialism. If you're against imperialism, you're against imperialism no matter who carries it out.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.